T. Miss 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 T.
Miss T.
Can't wait for you to meet Miss T. She is the T in T.
Number 36 is you must learn as your business grows and evolves, because that's what I'm expecting for you, to stay relevant. Now listen, times change, seasons change, trends change, wants change, desires change, you change. That means relevancy changes. And that can sometimes happen in a millisecond, like the pandemic. What was relevant before the pandemic and what was relevant during the pandemic? Two violently different relevancies. And if you were one of those people that didn't shift with the times or shift with the moment, you didn't exist after, the whole pandemic experience. So there were a lot of small businesses that just didn't make it for this very reason. They didn't stay relevant. So I want to give you a quick tip in how to make sure that you stay relevant. Because again, this is not something that I learned in business school. This is not something that I learned because someone told me. This is something I learned really, truly because I've lived, in some very intense and extreme environments growing up. And you learn survival through agility. And you learn, how to stay alive, how to stay present, and how to stay relevant through experiences. And I've been through some tough experiences that prepared me for a global survival mode, if you will. And so relevancy, it can only happen when you're paying attention to what, let's say for just strictly in business, what your clients are calling for. So in order for me to stay relevant, I do a lot of time listening, and a lot of times I spend looking at people, just watching. How do they respond to the product? How do they respond to the environment of the building? What do they say when they walk into this room? How do they feel when they're walking down the hallway? I ask a lot of questions because I want to know. And then some of my biggest, clients that inspire relevancy and program are our kids. They're so honest. It's so quick to tell you, I don't like that. You can't have thin skin in this business. Because they will tell you really fast, I don't like this. And some of them, Trey, they will tell you, I don't like you. So when that happens, don't get mad. Listen, pay attention, and then shift, strengthen, develop, because your consumer will always communicate. Remember, your consumer will always communicate. They will tell you what they like because they'll buy it. They'll tell you what they don't like because they'll stop coming. They'll tell you what they want more of because it's what comes out of them every time you're around them, every time you're around you. It's a consistent messaging. Consumers communicate. And if you're a good business leader, if you're a good business owner, you are looking and listening for that consumer exchange. And again, relevancy, sometimes people will try to shape shift what they do into what is relevant to them. Not in business, baby. Not in business. Remember, business is business. You're trying to sell something. You're trying to make money on something. You're trying to be impactful if you're doing a nonprofit. That means it's not what's relevant to you. It's what's relevant to the masses that you are serving. And so there are programs that I've developed, things that I've built out that, I tell my team a lot, this is I didn't set out to do the volume of what we do. And I think I'm more leaning into that now after having done it for 25 years and understanding the system and the demand of things. But I set out to just dance. That's what I knew. I had a very small seed of hip hop dance. I never went to a dance studio. I didn't learn in a dance class. I don't know dance culture and I don't know dance tradition, but I just liked it and I monetized it. But there's so many other components of my company now that came just from listening to what is relevant to the people that we're serving. And even still, just from last year to this year, we've had to shape shift again because people are not coming to full 3-hour dance workshop classes anymore. They're taking 8-second bits on TikTok to learn a dance. And so if we don't stay relevant in that respect, one of our pillars is built on these lengthy dance sessions. It changed. So it's not the consumer's job to adjust to what you think is relevant. It's your job to know what's relevant to your consumer and you adjust. So a tip, number 36, is how to stay relevant is paying attention and listening to consumer communication. And 2, knowing you have to stay relevant. You have to. So if you're trying to get longevity in business, relevancy is ultra key. And again, as the leader of the brand, and if you're like me, I'm also the face of my brand for now. If you're the face of your brand, even relevancy in your presentation as you represent your brand to the masses is critical. Who I am packaging wise today is very different from who I was 25 years ago when I started this specific company. The brand packaging has changed. The text that we use to type up what our business name is, the colors, the imagery, the visual representation of the brand, it all has to be relevant. I can't do some hot pink and bright green, text on top of a black box with a cartoon dog dancing in it. That's not relevant, especially if it's hip hop. It's not relevant. So again, it is your job to make sure that you're just paying attention and you're being intentional and you're staying agile because relevancy is key. If they can't relate, they won't connect. And if they don't connect, they don't consume. And if they don't consume, you don't have a successful product that someone is paying for, which means your business ain't doing good business. So number 36. Make sure that you stay relevant and make sure that your relevancy is making you money. Number 37. Okay, I like this one. I'm going to try not to go heck along on it, but I like this one. How to profit. Now, I didn't study a business model when I made my company because I wasn't, I couldn't find anything that was doing what I wanted to do. So I actually had to make the business model as I was building the company. And one of the most critical things that I had to figure out was how to make a profit, not how to make money, because you can make money. I had to figure out how to make a profit, which means there's more coming in than there is going out. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. When I first started, my organization, my nonprofit, which is Studio T, Arts and Entertainment, I so loved what I was doing that profit wasn't my priority. I just wanted to teach kids and work with the kids and dance. That was my priority. But very quickly, single mom raising 3 kids, we ended up on welfare. I didn't have a place to live. I was homeless. And I had put everything that I had by way of money into starting this company and lost all of it in a recession. And so making a profit became critical during that time. I said, okay, so this is not just my fun side hobby. This is now how I am feeding my family and this is how we're surviving. So I had to really intensely study. I spent a lot of time reading books, but again, it showed me how to make a profit under the auspice of somebody else's brand, which didn't relate to my brand because I wasn't doing something that had already been done before. So again, in its most simplest form, making a profit means you have more coming in than you have going out. Now, I was just having a conversation with someone about this. How do you get to that point? I'm groomed in, environments that require you to survive, which means you have to be very quick. You have to be very quick, very adaptable, and produce quickly. So you don't have it. You have to, survive and make things work, which is sometimes what happens when you initially go into business is you go into survival mode too, because you're starting something with nothing or with a limited amount of something and you're trying to grow it. So those skills that I learned, just living a life in survival mode, they were absolutely translatable into this moment, which means I had to learn how to do more with less time, because my responsibilities weren't just my company, they were also my children, they were also my health, they were also myself, and all the things. And so, one of the ways I find that we turn profit well here is we do more with less. We try to create systems and structures that we can accomplish a task faster than it takes us to typically get paid to. So for example's sake, um, again, having a conversation in shooting these videos, if T can do this in one take, that means it takes less time, which is money. It means it takes less equipment, or less taxing on the equipment, which saves money. It takes less energy, which saves money. And then on the back end, the post-production end of all of this stuff, my team don't have to work as hard. They can bang this thing out, hit some lower thirds, make sure it looks good for you, make sure it sounds good for you, and put it out. Because I can do this in one take and not 20 takes. Or we can do this where we don't have to go back and fix lights and fix this and fix that, because we did all of this on the front end. So I would say anytime you can plan and prepare and build systems and structures so that you can only do things once, like you measure twice, but cut once. That saves you time, that saves you money, and it expedites the process of production, bringing your production rate is higher. And again, when you're doing something by way of service, you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. You want to flip that. You want to, promise and then over deliver by expediting things with excellence. And so again, how to turn a profit: do more with less. So it should take you, not as much time to do X, Y, and Z. I would say the other thing is, if you're selling something physical, don't make it cheap, but be frugal. And so again, I produce events, and I find that people, you give them a budget, and they determine to use the entire budget. And that means sometimes they can spend on things that you don't need. They spend on things that you don't actually use. They overspend. And they're not monitoring things like delivery fees and what it takes, for a person to show up late and how it affects the rest of the team. And so for you, again, we're talking about how to turn a profit. You want to be super intentional about what every single nickel in your company is doing and how to maximize every single nickel. So instead of having something delivered, I'll have someone pick it up on their way in to the building. Why? Saves money. They're already on their way. They're going to grab it. It doesn't cost, shipping and all the things. So, but then that requires planning. I think that sometimes you can get into business and then stop planning well. I look at everything from every possible economical angle, not so I can be cheap, so I can be a good steward of every single nickel. And then I also have other people look over things for me. I'm not the only money genius in my ecosystem. I make sure that there are other people that are looking at some of the things that I am doing and giving me their wisdom on it, because they have expertise in that arena. Don't ever think for a second that you're the only one that can do some of the things that you can do. Have some allies that are going to say, hey, T, I found a better deal on this. So we have a whole lab where our young people come in and our adults come in and they make their own T-shirts. We were doing this stuff with vinyl that we would have to cut out, or silk screening, which is a lengthy process, which time is money. And then I had a friend of mine, they do this stuff. And she says, T, have you heard about this new way? She shared this thing with me. I mean, we have saved thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, not just in what it cost us to buy materials, but in the time it takes us to make a garment. And they're full color, beautiful, and it just requires one step instead of 15. But again, I'm tapping into the experts around me who have saved me in a year easily $40,000 just in this one facet of our company. Now, you talking about a profit? Like, that's 40 racks that you can keep and do something else with that 40K. You take that and invest it into something else, something new, and build something else out, and then turn more profit. So the reason I'm giving you this tip is it's a little bit, down the line, but if you could think intentionally when you first start out, it's a thing. It's a hard thing to accomplish. But if you know this stuff going in, you don't got to take 25 years to get there. You can take 25 days to get there. So again, turning a profit. Number 37, know going in. You want more coming in than you have going out. Number 2, you want to maximize systems by planning ahead and putting systems in place so that you can make sure you know what every nickel is doing for your company. And then number 3, tap into the people around you. You're getting into this business. You had to have known somebody that's doing something like what you're doing in order for you to think that you could do it. Ask them questions. Do you have vendors you work with? Is there someone that you can get to volunteer here? Who can I sit and watch? And then, bonus number 4 in this whole thing is tap into your instincts. You're compelled to do what you do, but not randomly. It's for a reason. It's something in you that knows I can capitalize on this. So if you know you can make money at something interiorly, trust that. Trust your instincts and ride with your instincts, because it's your instincts that got you into this thing in the first place. So I hope this tip helps you. Go make some money. Quit playing around. Don't overspend. Be very frugal and have more coming in than you have going out. And then I'll land it with this. Have a plan for the excess. So if you're making a bunch of money and your profit levels or your profit margins are high, have a plan for that. And I'm really, really weird, I guess, in that I stack all my chips on me. So if I get excess coming in, I figure out another way to evolve the business or start another facet of the business so that we can repeat that high profit margin practice. So just have a plan for the excess as it starts to come in, because the excess is not always buy a bigger house, buy this, buy new cars, go eat out and all the stuff. I didn't do any of that in the first 15 years of my company. Didn't do any of that. I kept reinvesting in the company, so it kept getting bigger and bigger and better and better and better. And that's what I want for you. So yes, get your profit margins high, but have a plan when the excess starts flowing in. I hope this helps you. Go make some money. Quit playing around. All right, number 38. You want to consider in the beginning of all of this how to build credibility for your company. Now, the reason that's important is people don't often come to a business that doesn't have credibility. They will support or consume the product of the company because of its credibility, because of how it's showing up for the masses. So for example's sake, when I say Apple, what do you think of? iPhones, iPads, right? It used to be a Mac, a computer, but now it's those darn phones and those darn iPads. Why? Because they built credibility with the consumer as experts and producers of that specific product. And that took time, it took commercials, but it also took quality of product. And it took culture building. They built a culture. If you have an iPhone, then guess what? You must be cool. So how do you build credibility with your brand? That's a real thing that I had to work really hard on, because again, when I first started my company, I was strictly a hip hop dance lady teaching kids that couldn't afford to pay for classes. How do you build a credibility system or a credibility attached to a brand like that? I wasn't even thinking brand. I was just thinking help the kids. And that's not even like something that you can attach credibility to. So let me break down that word of credibility. It's credit for your ability. That's simple, right? Okay, so I had to focus on how do I get credit for my ability? How do I get my brand credit for its ability? And the way you do that is successes. One, you want to do the things that posture your company in a way that it is showing up successfully as it competes to other brands. competes with or near other brands, because I don't really compete with anybody. I don't, but I outperform people most often. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're posturing yourself in realms that causes people to see that your brand rises above anybody else that's doing what you do. And for me, that was dance competitions. So back in the day, that was a big thing. And then I did something that most other people didn't do. It was very easy for you, the individual, to win in a ballet category when you're doing a solo art, talent or a duet or something along those lines. What was really difficult was when a ton of people, a ton of kids took the stage and they looked good. They were well synced. They were packaged well. Their costumes were dope. The music was right. And everything about the experience was dynamic and electrifying, and it wowed people. And so I knew that there was a weakness or a vulnerability in that aspect of the dance competition world. People were doing it with little groups. That's easy. People were not doing it with like 37 kids and all kids from ages 5 to 17. I did that. And so once I started doing that, we built credit for our ability to work with large groups of young people, have them well synced and extremely not just talented, but like excellent in their craft. And so we started getting credited as like, no, they know how to work with all different ages, all different things, but because we started competing in these categories. And then another byproduct of us doing this is we started winning. Like we were getting credit for doing something difficult and started winning, not third place, not second place, but consistently took top honors with bonuses from every single competition realm that we entered into. And then another really great spin-off thing started happening. As we were doing this with this large group of kids, one by one, their individual careers started taking off. So we had kids that were dancing, back up with Britney Spears when she was at the height of her time, Jennifer Lopez, Chris Brown, Usher, Drake. Like the list is very, very long that my young talent, just one spin off the other after the other. Now you can say it's like a fluke if it's just one, but when it's like several, like dozens and dozens and dozens in a short span of time, then you have to start looking at the brand or the engine that's producing these young talents that they just spin off. What's the commonality? The commonality was they all came from this lady who was doing this stuff with a big group with kids in the park, and then we started doing competitions. Then all of a sudden we started getting credited as a producer for our ability to train and develop not just quality talent, but talent they were so disciplined in their hard work and their ethic that they could go into Hollywood industry and do more with less time because they were so trained to just get in there, get the job done, work really hard, get the shot, get the stuff done. And so now Hollywood wants to work with these kids because they're easy to work with, because they're so disciplined and hardworking and well-trained. Well, everybody started, Hollywood is like, well, wait a second. You came from here and I heard this lady's name and this is it. Then all of a sudden people are like, well, wait a second. What's this organization? And so we started being credited with an organization that can develop disciplines in talent that can work with A-list artists. And so, okay, I'm giving you that whole story so you can understand the importance of credibility of a brand. Now, because we've been credited for our ability in this auspice of dance, we started adding other things. So let's talk about you. In order for you to have more credibility, because you want that, the reason you want that. Okay, so let's talk about you. The reason you want that is because it gives your consumer, your customer, confidence, and they will keep coming back. Also, and this is the second thing, and it should be the first thing, but I don't like it to make it the first thing because I'm just me, but it's your shiny button. People are attracted to the thing that's shining. And so whenever other people are singing your praises and speaking your name and declaring your excellence, that makes you a shiny button. And people are compelled, like moth to a flame, to the shiny button. So it starts to do your marketing for you. And you save money on marketing because then word of mouth is the best marketing ever. And people start to do that on your behalf because you've established yourself as a credible organization or a credible brand that can be trusted by the consumer. And then the third thing I will offer is quality of product. And you always want to be known as a brand that has quality of product. People talk about quality more than they'll talk about quantity. Remember that. The quality of food that you eat at a restaurant will give the person the desire to talk about the best Chinese food they've ever had. They never say, wow, they gave me so much rice. They will say, man, that rice was good. So you want to look for the quality that you can express of your brand that gives you the credibility of bringing excellence of quality. And so I'll land this with this because this is something that somebody didn't tell me. I learned this, the difficult way through trial and error, because I could start trying to do things. So I was doing a lot of things and it looked like I was doing a lot of things, but that didn't work for me. I have excellence of brand because I honed each facet of every single component of my company. And I took the time to develop the talent and then expose the talent in realms that will establish us as excellence of craft. And now we're really in a league of our own. Like there isn't a league that we're in. Like we take parts of us that are in a league, but the collection of what we've become postures us as a league of our own. And now we're in a league where other people are trying to get in our league because we built something really, really magnificent. And so again, if I'm giving you a tip, any kind of tip, is you want to make sure that you're working on the credibility of your brand. And then don't narrow it to the credibility of you. That's a mistake that I made. I would start to think, well, T does this and T did that. And T. Yeah, people don't care what you, the individual business owner, does. You're supposed to be magnificent. They care about the credibility of the brand. So you want to start thinking about how to best package your organization and then make it public facing and then make it, outperforming of anybody else in your realm, not to compete, but to establish brand credibility. And remember, super simple, you are credited for your ability. So it's really all about not what you can do, what can the brand do? Woo! So noted. Number 38. Number 38, noted. You want to make sure that you are always working on the plan for your brand's credit ability. Okay, here's number 39. Don't stop writing. Don't stop learning. Remember, I started to just do like 10 of these things, but they just keep coming. So I hope that you're getting them and they're working for you, at least 1 or 2 or 17, because I'm doing like tons of these and I hope you're getting it and I hope they're working for you. So I have another one for you. Don't limit your brand. Now, sometimes people can build a company and it's limited to what they can do. And I know that just didn't work for me. That was stressful. That was pressured. And then my company couldn't make the money that it was supposed to make. And it couldn't make the impact that I wanted to make because I would limit it. I would limit it to what it could do or what I could do with it. And so my tip to you is you're starting, scaling, growing, or trying to reboot your company is don't limit your brand. Now, first things first, you have to actually start thinking of your company as a brand. It's not just, this shop that makes sandwiches. It's not just the building that rents to people. It's not just that. It's a brand. It's your brand is the personality of your company. It's not just the physical structure and it's not just the widgets you make. It's the actual living, breathing personality. So if your brand was, alive and walking around, how would it walk? How would it talk? How would it dress? What would it like? What wouldn't it like? How many friends would it have? What kind of friends would it have? What would it do for fun? What would it do for work? Your brand is your actual personality, your living, breathing personality of your company. And so when I say don't limit your brand, it's the same as saying don't limit you, the person. Don't limit your children if you're a parent in what they can accomplish. They don't just play football. They play football, soccer, baseball, basketball. Or they could be a ballerina and a football player, and they could be an international business mogul. Don't limit the brand, the personality, the evolution of the actual breathing mechanism called your company. Now, how do some people do that? One, They only do what they can do. Boo! Don't be that person. If you only let your company do what you can do, I promise you, you will not be in business long. Oh no, did she just say that? Yeah, I did. If I limited my company to just what I could do, I wouldn't be in business. I expanded my company to what I can do, how I was growing, and what the people can do around me and how they were growing. So I started with just dance at a ghetto park in the middle of nothing with a boombox. That's how I started. Today, I'm in multiple cities, in multiple states. I have a square block and I own it with 45,000 square feet of innovation space in Northern California. Not an easy thing. I have 4 podcast studios, 6 music production studios, image and hair and makeup shop, media labs, editing labs. I have a movie theater. I have event spaces. I have lease spaces. I have DJ labs, I have dance rooms, I have so much under the auspice of the brand that I didn't have anywhere near when I first started this company. But that's because I didn't limit my brand to just me or just what I could do or just what I had around me. And so a couple of the ways that you can not limit yourself a couple of ways that you can not practicing limiting your brand is don't be so locked into doing things one way that you only do these things this one way. Listen when people talk. They will say, "Ooh, I love how you made that dance video." Do you know what that made me do? I had to invest in a whole media team department and all the equipment that comes along with that. Why? Because I realized that my brand was evolving. We weren't just doing dance shows. We had gotten into a era, a season, a time where people were starting to do dance video. And if I didn't expand and add media to the brand, we wouldn't be able to survive in this day. Do you know how many people use video for dance today? Like, if you just think about the pandemic, everybody was making dance videos. They were in their kitchens making dance videos. What if in 2005, I didn't make that adjustment? What if I didn't add media to our brand? Now we have so much that we do with media, but it started 2005 when we first got the inkling, like, oh my goodness, we need to evolve the brand. I can't limit the brand. Now, am I a video person? I would say in 2005, no, but I became one because in 2005, I saw the demand for it, the nudge for it, the lean in for it. And so sometimes people can say, oh, no, that's not what we do. And they don't do a thing. They don't add the thing. And I'm not real keen on like, you do this or this. Like my brain, my hard wiring doesn't work like that. I'm multiply. Like, so do this. And then we do this, and then it multiplies into something new. So dance, media, dance and media, they work together. That's multiplication. And so that's how my hard wiring is. But if you're not practicing those things, and again, timing is always a thing, but if you're not even willing to think in that direction, it's going to be problematic for you. And it's going to be problematic because anything that's living and breathing and doing, it's always in the process of becoming. And that means if your brand it is a living, breathing thing, but if it's not becoming and shape-shifting and, evolving, then there's the other potential that it's dying. And you'll start to see that because your money will change, your attention from consumers will change. And so again, the tip is it's kind of a weighty one because it requires you to, it requires you to grow as a leader. But if you're not paying attention to the fact that your brand is not growing, that means somewhere you've limited it. You either limited to what you think it can do, or you've limited to what you can do, or you've limited to what you have, to do. Like some people won't let their brand evolve because they think they don't have enough money. Boo! Like money is not your master. If you let your brand evolve, guess what'll come to you? Money. So my tip, my suggestion, and it feels like these are getting heavier and heavier. We started out so light with number 1 through 10. but again, as you grow and you get years into your company, these are the sorts of things that I wrestled with really hard. And I don't want you to have that. So you want to let your brand develop. You don't want it to be limited. And that's because you want longevity. I know you want longevity. You want longevity around what you're building. Otherwise, you wouldn't be building it. Everybody wants a successful company. That means you're going to have to let this living, breathing, evolving brand of a thing shapeshift when it needs to and how it needs to, with you still at the helm of it, driving the bus. So again, I hope this tip helps you. I hope that you can take a step back and kind of look at what you're building or what you've already built and see if there's any room for growth, or if you just have a stagnant thing on the vine that's not producing, which is intensely dangerous because that'll consume all your money and all your time. So again, happy brand building. And thank you for tuning in, and put some questions in the comment section if you find that this helped you or it didn't help you. I want to help you. And branding is my shit, baby. I love it, love it, love it, love it. So anytime I can support someone get over the hump of how do I grow my brand, I really, really want to. All right. Happy branding. And here's number 40. Yes, I've given you 40 of these things. 40 is a big number. I shared a lot of stuff with you. I hope you're using it. But number 40 is important. Times change, but you do not. Now, why is this important in business? When I first started a company, I kept trying to adjust because I couldn't make sense of the things around me. And it wasn't until I realized, okay, there are some core standards that T has to have, that no matter if times change, this will all still work. And so you sometimes, and I've watched it and I've consulted people through it, you can get in a business because how many of you, remember those yellow smiley face, be happy stickers or t-shirts and bumper stickers? They were everywhere. Be happy. There was a song, don't worry, be happy. That was for a time. If your entire company was built on the time when that was cool and we had to tell people to be happy, guess what? You're probably not doing a whole lot of business right now. Because the times right now, we got whole movies right now about the fact that you can't just say be happy. You got to deal with anxiety. You got to deal with anger. You got to deal with frustration. You got to deal with joy. And all that stuff is on the inside, and therapy is good. Those are the times we're in right now. Bumper sticker ain't going to help you, baby. Don't nobody care about be happy. They care about be emotionally well and do the work, the therapy to be well. Those are the times we're in. But if you, the core of your business, the foundation of your business is, I support people as they grow into their best possible selves through arts, media, and entrepreneurship. That will never change. But what might change during the times we're in is bumper sticker app. Be happy. Be emotionally well by understanding why you get frustrated. The times may change, but you supporting you in the facets of your life so that you have the best possible outcomes by any means necessary using arts, media, and entrepreneurship. That will never change. That's the constant, that's the foundation, and that is what everything is built on, so that when the times get tumultuous and the winds are blowing and things are hard, the building can do this, but because it's on a solid, constant foundation, it doesn't crumble. So as you're building your company, remember this: times change, you do not. And so what's your foundation? What is your core? Why? What is your why in building the business that you're building and scaling it and growing it and expanding it? Why are you doing what you're doing? And then once you figure out that why, because there's a why, it can't always be to make money. I mean, that's a byproduct of you having a rock solid why. It can't always be because you want to be seen and known. If that's why you're doing business, sweetie, you're going to fail. That's a byproduct of doing good business. Being seen, that's a byproduct of just having a rock solid why and then outcomes and credibility for it. It forces visibility. So my 40th tip to you, man, these are getting a little weightier. Sorry, but not sorry. Not sorry. I'm trying to help you. Is the times change, but your core, your foundation, your why does not. So be very clear about that before you start building the business, because then it doesn't matter what you build, what products you evolve, and how it grows. It's on a solid foundation of I'm doing this for this, and this can stand the test of time. I only started this because I was only going to do 10. So you guys are getting like heck of tips. Like, I hope you're using these tips to do something remarkable for your business. If you are, make sure you send a comment or like this stuff, share this stuff, or just let me know. Dang, T, thank you. It's working. Or let me know. Dang, T, could you elaborate? Because this didn't work. Because I want to help you. I'm only doing this because I want to help you.